What's happening, sports fans? We welcome you to another week of San Diego Prep Insider. I am Christian Pedersen. Below me is Tommy Morris. And joining us, as always, is Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live, the official digital content provider of the entire high school universe. Someday, I feel like we're drifting toward, I forget what, it's like Globomart or whatever it is in Wally that just sponsors everything on Earth. Like all products on Earth are brought to you by this one. That's where we're headed with Scorebook Live eventually, is just all things will be brought to you by Scorebook Live. Make sure you download the Scorebook Live app for everything that you need. Here's what we got on the show today. 3 teams are playing in huge state playoff games for the high school football championships. We have our first winter game balls. We have all CIF shout outs to get to from fall, as well as our first look ahead at some other games coming up this week in the soccer and basketball ranges. Let's start, though, with the state playoffs. The modern day Helix game. Epic. Unbelievable. Awesome. Wonderful. Cathedral Catholic. I mean, talk about having yourself a night. 71 points, I believe, was the final tally once the smoke cleared from in front of the scoreboard there. Lucky Sutton having a huge night, and then Scripps Ranch moving on. So, guys, where do we want to start with in any of these three? Or is there anything still to talk about other than just we love these guys, we support these guys, and we're all rooting for them?
I think Bodie, we were talking about it before the show. Bodie kind of hit the nail on the head. It's just a big deal that 3 of them have made it, and San Diego kind of had to self-sabotage themselves by having to play in the semifinals. So we could have, this is basically almost the maximum amount we could have almost there. So it's pretty awesome to see how well they did against some of the Southern section schools and LA section schools. And I mean, Patrick Henry was really close to Birmingham too. So we almost had a 4th. So it was a good showing for San Diego overall.
Yeah, I mean, that there's 15 state championship games and San Diego's represented in 3 of the top 5, and they're going to get to be playing on the big stage at Saddleback, and it's a huge deal. I mean, and I don't look at any of the games and be like, oh, they can't win that one. Like if all 3 San Diego teams won, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So should be fun this weekend.
Friday night, we will have the Cathedral Catholic and the Modern Day Catholic. Saturday morning, we will have Scripps Ranch. We will provide you all the opportunities you need to stream that on our different social medias. Bodie, Scorebook Live going to be doing any insight that people can go read about maybe the teams that they're playing against, Folsom and as I filibuster to the other 2 in the match.
Yeah, for Modern Day Catholic, it's Central Catholic from Central Catholic from Modesto, and then Scripps Ranch is playing Wilcox from Northern California. So
you guys got any information on them on your website that people can go check out?
Yeah, we'll have previews for all 15 games, obviously the important ones at Saddleback as well, those 5 top ones, and we'll be full staff at all those games, so looking forward to it.
Very, very cool. Tommy, any closing notes on football before we head over into the winter sports?
I think the biggest thing from the weekend, not to keep talking about the teams at the top, but Cathedral beating Orange Lutheran and beating them while scoring 71 points and while having Lucky Sutton run for 1,000,000 yards is huge for the respect that San Diego football is going to get, because OLU, one of those Trinity League teams, which we have been told down here we can't compete with, Cathedral proved that wrong in a big way. And Lucky Sutton, arguably the best player in San Diego, proving that he can compete with the Trinity League teams as well. So I think that bodes very well for San Diego in the future. So great job to all the teams in the playoffs.
I could see where maybe 4 rushing touchdowns is a lucky day. 7 rushing touchdowns is a no doubter.
Well, to be fair, hey, it was only 6, but 1, and then a receiving one too. So
yeah, almost 500 yards.
Fair enough. It's not a no doubter because it was only 6 rushing touchdowns and 1 of them receiving. Still some room to doubt left on that Cathedral Catholic offense. On to the winter sports. The first couple of basketball tournaments are in the book. Bodie, I'm sure we'll have weekly coming up soon. Top 10s available on Scorebook Live. How soon are we to that debuting for you guys?
Yeah, no, I just put out my 3rd one on Monday night, and it's a little tough early on. There's been a lot of movement. I think at this point, I kind of feel good about who the top 5, 6, 7 teams are, but there've been a bunch that have moved around in that range of just outside. So hopefully as we get a month in here, a week from now, we'll kind of have some idea. But I think a lot of teams Modern Day Catholic's a team, for example, I think highly of, but they're missing their football guys. And the more that football wins, the less they have them. So it's tough, obviously.
There's a little bit of bubble watch then. We're going to talk ton about Saints and Tory and those likes all season long. So give us maybe teams, and this can be in no particular order with not a ton of context to them, but just teams like who are 6 through 12, or maybe more importantly, like who's 9 through 15, who are some of those squads that you're still in flux about a little bit?
Yeah, so San Ysidro is a team I look at. They started the year 0-3, but then you look who those three teams were, and they lost to Cathedral by 1 point, Saints by 4 points, and Sierra Canyon. So, like, they're still up there for me. They've bounced back with 2 wins, and they're going to challenge themselves. Terry Tucker put together a great schedule. They're going to play at the Torrey Pines Holiday Classic, Coronado against Vegas. I mean, there's some great teams there. Mission Hills is a team who I really like this year. They've got the twins, Jaden and Justin White. I saw them last night. And some shooters too, Caleb Hoffmeister. And I think they're a team that I think can make a run in open division this year as they put some things together. Or just looking through, I mean, Mira Mesa was a team I had in the top 10 2 weeks ago, and suddenly they've lost a couple games. So I think as teams get comfortable and get a month in, we'll see a little more. But early on, there's just so many teams that play a good game, drop one, and have to get ready to come back and turn things around.
Tommy definitely has some of those types of players that, big games have been part of the question of the turnaround of the team of yada, 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 as we get into this, like you said, this muddled gray zone where we're still figuring it out until we get to that first month. But we're now safely into the territory where we can have Tommy talking about game balls. And this is always one of my favorite segments because Tommy does the deep dive. Bodie, if you have game balls as well, we'll come to you after Tommy. But Tommy Morris, hit us with your, I see 4 game balls here. Who are your top 4 players you want to shout out from this past week?
Yeah, so Deshaun Dissonier from El Cap, averaging 24.7 points per game and 6 rebounds in his last 3 games all last week. I want to give another shout out to not only this kid I'm about to mention, who I didn't put on the list, but everyone else who's doing the same thing he is. Savion Yokley is playing in the Spanos Classic, and while he's been doing that practice, he's been going to basketball and playing the basketball games for El Cap too. I know there's a handful of kids that are doing both. I can't even imagine doing a full basketball practice, playing a full basketball game, and then going to go to 3-hour football practice. That is extremely impressive. So shout out to those kids. I guess the COVID season kind of prepared them for it. If there was only one silver lining from last year, but shout out to all those kids. Marley Gonzalez from Escondido Charter, 25 points and 13 rebounds against San Pasqual. We have Patrick Perez from Christian, 15 points and 10 rebounds, and they're winning against Brawley. And how about Xavier Rubio, 23 points against Hilltop? He plays at East Lake.
Bodie DeSilva from Scorebook Live, your shout outs, game balls, and or otherwise things that you would like to highlight from the past week of San Diego high school sports.
Yeah, I'll start with Brea Cunningham. We know her at La Jolla Country Day now, and it seems like she's been there 5 or 6 years, still only a junior, and one of the most dominant players really, and not just in California, but
she kind of reminds me of how we thought that it was it Gio Gonzalez. Was it Olympian for 15 years?
Yeah.
Brea has become the new Gio Gonzalez. Continue.
Yeah. So started off, she had 34 points in the opener. Since then, 27, 28. But I think the impressive thing there is you look in the rebounding totals, 2 games with 16, 2 games with 14, 10 or more in every game. La Jolla Country Day, they're off to a 7-1 start. They're going to be so tough for anyone in the San Diego section to deal with this year. So
I was worried that they were going to shoot too well for her to have good rebounding numbers, but I'll take it.
Yeah, no, they got some transfers in, and that looks like a team that's going to be really tough to deal with. On the boys basketball side, Alexis Marmolejos, another guy who feels like he's been there just because he made such a big impact when he was a freshman, but the point guard at Army Navy, 25 points in their last game against Escondido Charter. And this is a guy who I would be very surprised. He's averaging 24 games so far this year. I think that's sustainable. That's just kind of who he is. He's so big, talented, skilled. And I think he's going to carry Army Navy. That was a team I was so impressed in playoffs last year. They won 2 games during the regular season. First round, they go at Coronado, who won the section title, and they were winning with 4 minutes left to go. So Alexis Marmolejos at Army Navy is a definite name to watch on the boys' side.
You got to love when the Army Navy squad shows up rolling 5 or 6 deep.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, that's our basketball team. We're going to have these kids running until they can run no more. I'll go a little bit around the county and start with some girls basketball from earlier this week. I want to give a shout out to Oceanside getting a 2-1 win over Pacific Ridge. That's a big win up in the North County. On the girls' water polo side, Claremont 17-8 over Mar Vista. That's always an interesting bellwether game early on because I feel like Claremont and Mar Vista both are the epitome of the OLI, like on that bubble outside looking in team. And so it'd be a good year, it would seem, for the Lady Chieftains. Down in the South Bay, Mater Dei Catholic girls soccer getting a 7-1 win over Southwest San Diego. I'm always just, anytime an actual like crooked number is involved in tennis, 100%. All right, I'm in any sport, but in soccer, excuse me.
No, tennis not really, because you get straight to 15. So.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's why I like it. It's quick scoring. Additionally, on the boys soccer side, the Preuss Titans, I saw them in person against El Cajon Valley. They got a nice little 4-1 start this year with the El Cajon Valley and then a Holtville win. Man, soccer this year, I have a low-key sneaking suspicion just based off of the teams that we've interacted with. It's going to actually be a competitive and fun year. And it sounds like for whatever reason, post-pandemic, more squads have convinced their club players that go to said school but don't play normally historically to actually come back out and enjoy high school sports with them again. So I think overall the quality of CIF winter soccer will be elevated this year, and I'm actually looking forward to that because admittedly I struggle sometimes with getting invested in soccer. Going forward, guys, yeah, it's that's the other thing. It gets me sometimes on the temperature front. I want to look ahead to this coming Friday, the 10th. I'm going to pick a couple of basketball games and we will see how we start doing on this. Admittedly, even if I had given you guys a whole week to prepare on some of these, we wouldn't be able to pick them, right? So I figured I'll just get them to you spur of the moment, make them as easy as we can. Carlsbad Saints. That's a big one this Friday. Purple on purple, couple of high quality teams. That's Tommy looking on Max Preps. That's why we go on Scorebook and not Max Preps, is because of their ishy ads. Kidding though. Carlsbad Saints. Bodie, we'll start with you from this one.
Yeah, I got to go Saints here. I've had them at number one. Two teams that were very familiar. They played a couple times last year, and Carlsbad doesn't have a bigger team this year, which it kind of matches up well with Saints that way. There's not a dominant post, but this Saints team played so well together last year. They've grown up, and I think they're going to be on a big run, not just this year, but next year. So I'll go Saints in this one.
Tommy Morris.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. Gosh darn it. I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go Saints for basically the same reasons.
Tommy also supports small businesses. You should all know.
Yes.
Canyon Crest Academy versus Bonita Vista. Bonita defending state champions. Canyon Crest always got some combination of ambiguously 6'1" defendable kids, or like kids that can defend well. So what do we see here, Bodie?
Repeat that one again. Sorry, you broke up there.
Bonita Vista, Canyon Crest.
Yeah, I think this is a really even matchup. Bonita Vista was just playing a tournament up in LA. I think that kind of prepared them for some tougher games. I know they were up playing Mayfair and some other Southern section teams. So Canyon Crest, I saw last night, they picked up a big win over Rancho Buena Vista, but I like Bonita Vista in this one.
Tommy Morris.
I'll go with Canyon Crest in this one. I know the record doesn't look very good at 2-4. The Bodie just said they beat RBV. They also beat Maranatha, which is a very underrated team. I'll say that about Maranatha. They like to shoot the lights out, so you got to kind of get on their shooters. I like Canyon Crest this one. I think it'll be close though.
Last game I'll talk about today, University City versus Francis Parker. Both of these teams receiving kind of fringe top 10 endorsements. There is, I think, a little bit more surprise to UC having those mentions than it is Parker. But UC also, they've been building something the last couple of years. Early take on this game, Tommy.
Yeah, I think another thing you got to fact. I am going to. I don't know where that one's coming from.
Bodie's just emailing links now.
I don't know where that one came from. That one came out of nowhere. That was not. Okay,
I was checking, thinking maybe it was me. I'm like, I don't know what
that was wild. No, anyway. So no, I talked about this, I think, last week. Some of the football kids coming back and playing basketball. University City's got two of them that should get some pretty good minutes, and Sam Cooper and Caden Dawson. I think I could be wrong on this, but I did check the stats. Cooper had 6 points in 8 minutes and 4 fouls. So that's classic football guy coming back to play basketball. Maybe you got to remind himself that he's on the court now, not on the field. But I think
you got to give me that stat line again so we can put that out.
I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, but this is off the top of my head. I think it was 8 minutes, 6 points, 4 fouls. So that's why.
4.
So yeah, so stay out of foul trouble, buddy. Maybe the game will go a little bit better. I do think University is going to be a very, very good basketball team. I like UC in this one. Aiden Lockett, another football guy who's going to be out there on the basketball court as well. So I like UC in this one against Parker.
All right. You can find us at SD Prep Insider on Twitter, on Instagram. That's where we have the polls. Is 6 points and 4 fouls in 8 minutes the standard first game of basketball for a football player?
It sounds about right. You gotta get it out. You gotta get the football out for a little bit. But yeah.
Bodie, if you are still there, UC Francis Parker, please.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize my video was still off. Yeah, Parker's a team. I had preseason top 10. I think there's some talent, and I like them to win this. The problem, they just never have a super deep roster, and at a smaller private school, it's understandable. But Camden McCormick, a great player, an all-CIF guy last year. As long as he stays healthy, they'll make a run, and I like them to win this game.
You think with a Hall of Fame coach, they'd be able to figure it out. But
yeah.
I guess being in Cooperstown doesn't translate over to the other sports. Anything we missed this week? Anything that you guys still want to talk about?
I think we're good.
We're good until next week. Wonderful. We were hoping to have Colton Toll on I'd like to set up a preview of next year's football coverage between Tommy and Colton when they both go. I predict on Friday that a game will happen and one team will wear this color. That's going to be half of our football coverage now that we employ 2 coaches. we are going to become just 2 talking. The other team tries really hard and coach like blah, 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 cliche. That's going to be the extent of our football coverage. But no, we're excited for Colton. We're excited for Tommy. Bodie, as always, like we said, he's here on behalf of Scorebook Live. Make sure you download their app. You can follow Tommy at Real Tommy Morris. You can follow Noah Lax if you can find him. And talk to you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in, sports fans.